Going on hikes into the wilderness can be one of the great ways to get out into nature, relax, and get back in touch with your roots. But the great outdoors is also full of great dangers. In some countries, there are lots of wild animals who could do a great deal of damage to those who don't fully understand the danger that they could pose. Animals such as mountain lions, wolves, and all sorts of species of bear. And when these animals get scared or hungry, people can, unfortunately, be the ones who find themselves on the menu. This is unfortunately what happened to one man in Alaska back in 2018. Alaska is one of the truly wild places left in the world. About 95% of National Park Service land in Alaska has some wilderness protection and accounts for about 30% of the nation's wilderness. The state of Alaska has more than 57 million acres of designated wilderness with multiple different landscapes, including watersheds, mountain ranges, glaciers, wetlands, coastlines, volcanoes, tundra, forests, and wild and scenic rivers. It is one of the few places in the United States that has large, intact natural landscapes. These large areas allow ecosystems to function naturally. This includes mass migrations of caribou and the natural disturbance of fire that creates a mosaic of vegetation communities. Large, naturally functioning ecosystems are also more resilient too and allow species to better adapt to climate change. Because these are areas where wildlife is able to flourish, animals, such as bears, like to make it their home. In fact, a bear is one of the easiest animals to see in Alaska, since there are more bears than in any other state or province in North America. There are actually more than 40,000 grizzly bears and 100,000 black bears roaming wild. In Alaska, there are 4 different types of bear: the brown bear, otherwise known as the grizzly, polar bears, black bears, and the glacier bear. And whilst it is always amazing to see these creatures from a distance, it's a completely different feeling when they are up close and personal. For one person, things ended in one of the worst possible ways. The man, called Mike Soltis, lived in Eagle River with his fiancée, Elizabeth Claus, a community in Alaska named for the river that it is situated on. Mike loved where he lived, as he found the awe-inspiring landscape around him to be very refreshing for his soul. Mike loved to go out hiking into the woods and surrounding landscapes, as it helped him calm down after a stressful day. It was during one of these excursions into the woods that Mike came face to face with the one thing that he would never want to see. It had started off as a relatively normal hike. Mike had been excited to get out and see all the different kinds of animals and other wonders of the natural world that he could. He was walking near the end of Highland Road in Eagle River when he suddenly spotted a brown bear. Shocked, Mike froze where he was standing. He knew that brown bears were dangerous. As well as their sheer immense size, they also have the quickest forelegs, meaning that they can reach speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. And even though their teeth aren't the biggest, they are incredibly sharp. The bite force of a brown bear measures at 975 psi, which is the strength between that of a lion and a tiger. Indeed, this is the one animal that Mike really didn't want to run into. At first, Mike tried to keep incredibly still, hoping that the bear wouldn't notice him and that it would go away. However, he had no such luck. Upon hearing Mike, the bear instantly turned to look at him. It is not known what actually set the bear off, whether it was being territorial and thought that Mike was trying to challenge it, or whether the man simply spooked the animal, which caused it to act out in order to try and protect itself. Despite being omnivores, which means that they will eat both meat and plants such as berries, plant roots, and shrubs, small mammals, fish, calves, and many hoofed animals, brown bears usually won't attack humans. Unfortunately for Mike, he seemed to have stumbled upon a bear who was easily spooked. Within seconds, the huge brown bear began charging at Mike, and in just a split second, its entire 300-pound body was upon him. The bear began to maul Mike, biting and growling and clawing at him with its razor-sharp teeth and claws. Mike desperately tried to fight for his life, trying to scream for help and escape from the bear's unrelenting attack, but he was simply too weak to get the huge creature off of him. The only thing that Mike could feel in that moment was utter terror and a sense of regret that he knew these were likely his last few moments. A few days passed by and people began to worry about Mike. No one had seen him since he went on his hike the previous Monday. With this information, a search and rescue team made up of his family and a few volunteers was assembled to try and find Mike on the following Wednesday. Mike's cousin, Wendy Yoham, and 2 other people were searching near to where Highland Road ends when all of a sudden, a huge brown bear burst out of the bushes and charged at the group of searchers. The volunteers had found the body of Mike, but it seemed as if the bear was actually guarding it. The huge animal charged at the group. As Wendy looked into its eyes as it sprinted towards her, she could see just how crazy the animal seemed to be. It was almost as if the bear had lost all of its fear of people and was simply on the hunt and protecting what it thought to be its belongings. Wendy braced herself, hoping that it wouldn't hurt too much when the bear finally attacked her. But just as she was about to be crushed by the animal, one of the other volunteers who was with her pushed her out of the way. The bear, not caring who was in front of it, began attacking the man instead. It clamped its razor-sharp teeth down onto the volunteer's leg, mauling it badly. Thankfully, the 3 searchers were able to scare the bear off by creating a lot of noise and yelling at it. They were able to chase it off for long enough to get the injured man moved to the nearest road, where they were able to flag down a driver to call for help. The volunteers were taken back to Mike's house, where they put a tourniquet on the injured man's leg. Once they had done that, they were able to call the police, who rushed to the scene. Along with the police, searchers from the Alaska Department of Fish and Game went hunting for the bear. Because it had fatally wounded one man and mauled another, the animal was clearly a danger to humans, and they knew that they had to catch it to make sure that it didn't hurt anyone else. The only problem was that they were unsure where the animal had gone, but they were determined to find the bear. It was clear that the animal wasn't acting normal, meaning that it could be infected with something like rabies. If the department didn't find it, then there was a very real chance that the disease could spread and affect other animals, which could then possibly infect humans as well. After a few hours of grueling search, the searchers were able to locate the bear not too far from where it had made its 2 attacks. They then determined that the animal was too dangerous to relocate to somewhere else in the wild, as it had already hurt 2 people, and so they had to humanely euthanize it. It was not released as to why the bear suddenly began acting so strange. However, there were thankfully no other reports of dangerous bears in the area, so the people of the community were once again at ease. As well as that, the man who was mauled was thankfully able to recover, although he did suffer quite a few scars to his leg. Elizabeth Claus, the fiancée of the late Mike Soltis, is now facing an incredibly challenging and heartbreaking situation. The tragic incident that claimed Mike's life in a bear mauling left her without her beloved partner, just when they were preparing to embark on a new journey together. Elizabeth had been eagerly anticipating her marriage to Michael, a milestone that symbolizes love, commitment, and the start of a new life together. They were also expecting the joy of welcoming a child into their lives, a moment that should have been filled with happiness and anticipation. However, the loss of Michael had turned what should have been a joyous time into one of profound grief and sorrow. This sudden tragedy has left Elizabeth as a single parent-to-be, navigating the complexities of pregnancy and parenthood without the support and companionship of her partner. The emotional toil of losing a loved one is already overwhelming, and the added responsibility of raising a child alone can be an immense challenge. The memory of Mike Soltis will undoubtedly continue to be a significant part of Elizabeth's life, as she cherishes the moments they shared and the love they had for each other. Her child will forever be a constant reminder of Mike and the memories they shared together before his terrifying final affliction.